Hello, Ma. So we were
Hello.
able to figure out the lovely technical details, and we're just waiting for everyone to join in again. And you're looking so beautiful and bright in this lovely red.
Yeah, and it's a cold winter day. I'm freezing a little bit.
Delhi has become very, very cold.
I'm wrapping myself in the shawl and then I'm ready.
Yes, and we are also ready. And I was just sharing with everyone as I was trying to figure out so that we can have a beautiful seamless streaming for today's Sunday Collective, that we'd been away for a few weeks, and now that we're back, we're going to be having a little bit of a change with the Sunday Collective from next week onwards, which is going to be that it's going to be in the morning times, 8:30 a.m. India Standard Time. So could you just tell us what is the energy reason for changing
because
it?
I'm finding that the Sunday evening is the energies are shifting for 2022, and we are going to be preparing to heal the whole day and the week in a very energetic position with the sun's energies. So we are, previously we were working with the moon's energies for healing, and now it'll be the sun and the solar power. So I want everyone to receive in a very open way and to experience the change for goodness and wellness in the world and in their own lives, to have more rejuvenation and more strength, and spiritually to be more awakened. And maybe even the time, I think people find it difficult to give so many hours of their life to just listening. So maybe we'll cut it to an hour and a half instead of 2 hours.
So 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Perfect, Ma. And so this will come into implementation from the 12th.
Yeah, 12th of
12th of December.
12, 21. Wow, that's a nice number.
Very nice number. And so just before we sort of rejigged and before we begin this entire journey of healing addiction, we immediately had a wonderful question by Sahiba Garg, who asked that what about addictions to pessimism, anger, hatred, and negative emotions versus addictions to substances, like it could be food or alcohol or drugs. Yes.
And what about social addictions like, gaming and internet and staying up in Facebook addictions and all kinds of addictions I find, and they're very novel. So I was going back to my own childhood and I was thinking, where does this topic of addiction really begin for a soul's journey? And I was thinking that what is my earliest memory of somebody being addicted? And I remember my grandmother, that was my mother's mother, telling me that she doesn't like coming to Delhi. So I asked her why. So she said, oh, it's so hot in Delhi, because she was from Kashmir. And she is, living in this nice, cool, comfortable snowland with the snowfall. So she was very addicted to the cold weather. And that was her journey of, wanting. She was addicted to the place. She was addicted to her memories. She was addicted to the comfort of her warm clothing. And she was addicted to the foods that were growing in her land and what she used to eat and how she used to eat them, how she used to cook them. And whenever she came visiting us in Delhi, she was very uncomfortable. So that discomfort is something that she recognized in herself, and she didn't want to be uncomfortable. She wanted to be very comfortable. So then there came a time in her life when she wouldn't come, and we would always be going to Nani house and, having fun in Jammu or Srinagar or wherever they were, and posted my grandfather and her. And it was really interesting to see that, they were addicted to eating the fruits that grew in that land, and they were very comfortable. So sometimes the point I'm trying to illustrate is that sometimes we are addicted to behavior patterns and to situations which are a consequence of our environment and how everybody else is living and doing things. And we have scant respect for the consequences that they're going to make on our body or our heart or our mind. And I remember that she had a co-sister who was my grandfather's elder brother's wife, and she was very codependent. So she used to always say that, I'll ask her and I'll bring her, I will check with her, I will be, doing this holiday with her, I will go for this movie with her. Everything was about doing it in solidarity with just that one person and nobody else. So I know that she was also having some kind of an addictive behavior. You can be addicted to a friend. You can be addicted to a boyfriend. You could be addicted to a parent that you can't, you have little children growing up and then they have to go to school and the mother has to go and sit in the class with the child because the child is so addicted to the parent. So addictive behavior is not just a consequence of environment and behavior patterns and inheritance and tendencies of what we see people doing in our lives, but it could be also from past lives, previous inherited tendencies of a cosmic nature and inherited tendencies of a material nature and a spiritual nature and a psychic nature. So there are lots and lots of layers of how we interact and how we behave with each other and what are our ideas in our mind. We could be just addicted to telling lies. We could be addicted to complaining. We could be addicted to it's all about me, and nobody else. So we can have lots, we can see in the world outside that people are having a compulsive addictive behaviors and sometimes very sort of self-built. So, we all know about gambling addiction and sex addiction and food addiction and drug addiction and alcohol addiction. And now we have internet addiction and gaming addiction. And, people, I know lots of kids who are on, what is it, PUBG or something, that they have some game on the net and that they're playing it for hours and hours and they're locking themselves in their rooms. And then somebody else could be buying or gambling with cryptocurrency. Somebody could be gambling on horses. Somebody could be just doing some kind of other gambling with their life, resources and thinking that they're making it into a, like covering it with the thing that it's like, what would I say, a business decision or startup of a company. But they could be compulsively repeating behavior which is not so healthy. I know people who are compulsively changing jobs, compulsively changing relationships, compulsively spending money. That's a very big one that I found in the last 2 years, that even they're spending the money, they have, what do you call it, credit card debt.
Yes.
And they're very compulsively just spending, going on the net and Amazon and whatever other Flipkart and I don't know how many other tempting portals of... so they're all spending away for posterity to reactivate their destiny. So finally you have to decide that what is your... Believe me, I think every human being has some addictive behavior. Somebody could have cleanliness, like they're very compulsive, and then there could be, what do you call it, OCD?
Yeah, so this
Obsessive.
is what something that I wanted to ask you to make a distinction for, especially all of us who are listening, or to sort of unfold it for us and unravel it for us. That by definition, are you saying that all addictions have a compulsive quality, but not all compulsions are addictions?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then there can be certain compulsions that are coming from a space to mitigate fear or mitigate some anxiety, like obsessive compulsive disorders or managing syndromes. And then because today's topic is about addiction, could you tell us a little bit more about what is that the compulsion to chase a reward. Because my limited understanding of addiction is that it's basically chasing a feel good or a reward that is not very long lasting, and that's why we become addicted to that, repeating that pattern of chasing that reward or chasing that satisfaction or the feel good, and then that becomes the compulsion. So is that accurate, or am I missing something?
It is accurate, but there are we also chase negative rewards.
Okay.
Like somebody could be addicted to hurting themselves, and the endorphins in the brain could be activated to heal that pain, and that would make them feel very good. So they would be looking for that feeling. And so there are people who are addicted to killing, and they're addicted to all kinds of tortures and, torturing people. And so there are those kind of mental illnesses and all. But I'm just doing an overview of the basic addictive nature of a human being and how we can look at the different chakras and we can heal for the self and for the family and for the world around us. That, what is happening. Because remember that a cherry tree is very compulsively only growing cherries for the rest of their life. But if a human being is compulsively doing the same action repeatedly, people think it's not a socially acceptable behavior. Because we are always looking for variety, and we are always looking for doing things differently, and we are always looking.
So when we're looking to do things differently, we are chasing pleasure-based activities.
Or instruments of seeking pleasure for ourselves.
So when we're chasing these pleasure-based activities, could you tell us what they look like?
Yeah, if I look at, sure, if we are connected.
So we've had a little bit of a buffering issue. And yeah, I think we are back. So coming back to the types of addictions and pleasure-seeking behaviors.
Yeah, so there is substance abuse, which a lot of people recognize, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's food, whether it's heroin or, cocaine, or there's so many different, LSD, I'm not sure what other
chemical
drugs that we are constantly using in particular ways to give ourselves pleasure or to numb ourselves from looking at the reality of life, where we can't cope with our responsibilities and the world that we live in, or the world that we've arrived in, or the experiences that we have gone through life, and we don't know how to heal ourselves. So we're looking at a substance that will tranquilize or put us to sleep or give us some kind of a high. And there are also people who get used to taking drugs, which the doctor may have given them for a limited time, but they feel so good taking it, they just keep popping it till it becomes part of the physical health problem, that they'll keep numbing their senses or their
so
feeling.
Like painkiller addictions and fentanyl and opioids and things like that.
Heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come to food, different kinds of food. I have a lady who comes to my office who's addicted to drinking water, and she can just keep drinking water. And now they found that there is a pill that we can give her, in which she doesn't feel so thirsty. So every time you ask her what is, why are you drinking so much water, she just keeps saying that I'm so thirsty. So, there is an irrational vibration of a very dark purple light in her third eye chakra, which I don't find in other people's auras. And when she drinks the water, that streak of purple light goes down to her root chakra, and the minute she stops drinking, it's like an aberration in the brain, that she's not sequencing that her thirst is satiated. Because the body is feeling very satiated at the solar plexus, and it's not doing anything to drive her, but her mind is driving her to drink. So I find that it's a similar, thing that people do even with alcohol, that there is a compulsiveness in the mind which is just making them want to drink it, and the minute they've drunk it, they know that it's something that they should not have done, that's not good for their body, for their mind, for their loved ones. And then with that guilt becomes a lot of anger, a lot of helplessness, and then they become the victim, and the family also becomes victims of their abuse. Because they're not even aware of how they're behaving. So it's all starting from the calves and going up to the root chakra, and then of course some discrepancies in the activation of the crown chakra, from where the river of love and light has to flow down, and it's not flowing sufficiently. And this can be
so that feeling of not having enough, whether it's love, attention, care, strength, sex, education. So then that can trigger this pattern of seeking, which then can get corrupted, and then we end up as addicts. And then there's like another healing journey, which we will get to that. But as you were speaking, Ma, I wanted to ask you that what is it that you see in our auras or in our seed program consciousness as human beings particularly, that gives us this propensity to become addicts? Like, is it a lack of self-control, or is it something very deeply karmic, or is it a combination of the two? Like, is there that one or two or three things that truly tells us about why humans are so good at being addicts? Like, we are very good addicts.
I have a family, friend whose son is very addicted to music. And he writes music, he plays music, and they made him this very nice room in which he can mix music and all, and they thought that it was going to be part of his creative thrust of doing something in his life. But he's got so addicted to it that he just goes into that room as soon as he wakes up, and he just keeps writing and creating music. And every time, I don't know what, maybe it's called the recycle bin or something, that whatever he creates in the day, he puts it into the bin. And then the next day he starts again, and then it's like a compulsive thing. And now they are going to seek some help for him, from a psychologist, because he's just in a loop, and he's, karmically just stuck in that, hearing and listening to music, and always feeling very low opinionated about himself and his work, and that it's all garbage and it's all very bad, and there's no talent and nothing. So when I was doing his healing, I found that it was actually that he came from a previous life where he had very little appreciation from his associations in his past life, and when he came into this life, his grandparents just kept appreciating everything about him and said that he's so brilliant, so they gave him an over-exaggerated idea about his own brilliance, and he sings so well and he writes so well and he's so good and he's so talented, and this is the room for him, this is the musical instruments for him, so he's got into a loop where he's not in a reality check that there are things that can go wrong in life, there are things that people can not like about you, and there could be people who just don't like you, and there are others who will love you, then there are others who will tolerate you, there are others who will want to work with you, and there are others who will pay you also for the work that you're doing. But everybody is not going to be a customer, everybody is not going to be your boss or your co-worker. So he doesn't have a reality check about his transformational aspect of being a human. And when I was looking into his heart chakra and his ears, they are very synchronized with his inner self, but he's not got the ability to hear anything that is externally happening. So, a lot of people could say that he's mild autistic, or, he could have Asperger's and they can draw, but he's super, super, super intelligent, but he's just isolated himself. So there is, a connection with his navel chakra, that he's bringing this from a past life. Then he has this immense appreciation from his grandparents that has validated that he should do only this one thing, that is his music. And soul karma of these parents creating that environment to trap him in like a jail cell. So, I was sending him healing, and his mother said something very interesting. She's saying it's almost like we've created the jail cell for him and put him in jail, and now we are struggling to get him out. So it's a collaborative effort. No addict is an addict by himself or by his own bad behavior. There is a unified construction of souls who are going to collaborate to give him that addiction or give him that behavior pattern or teach him how to be this dysfunctional human being. And then most of them are coming from a very low self-esteem, which is the hara is very, very damaged, and the kundalini chakra is very close to the hara. So of course they have some karmic loops of insufficiency or inadequacy from a previous lifetime that they're carrying. And when I heal, it's really magical. It takes just about a few hours sometimes for things to really start disintegrating and rebuilding. It's like they're little cells and they're all like building blocks, and then you just dismantle the whole thing and you rebuild it very structurally. And then they'll keep thinking that, was that really me? Did I really do that? Okay, I don't want to go down that road. Then, of course, for a few years, they come back for healing because they're saying that, what if it happens again and all? And then once their confidence is resurrected, self-esteem and their self-confidence is balanced, and they're able to take charge of their lives, then there is nothing that they can't do. They can do better than anybody else.
So you're saying that there are healing moments in your experience where that addictive cycle can be healed in an instant, and it is a permanent change because it's actually going into the building blocks of
their intrinsic nature from their hara and their kundalini chakra.
And so this kind of takes me to a conversation, Ma, that you and I were having throughout the week. And I think I will sort of ask you to share, those stories that you shared with me, with everyone here that's joining in for the collective. Mm-hmm. And before you sort of take all of us through that journey and you lead us through this very, I think, important and very relatable, because all of us do have patterns in our life or even relationships or substances that we are addicted to for whatever reason in any permutation combination. So before I take us through that, Mohit has a question. He says, Pranam Ma. Hi Mohit, lovely to see you. He says, please guide us why a lot of newborns are born with autism and how to heal them at a very nascent stage so they can lead a good life ahead and a fulfilled life ahead. And an empowered life, I feel that's what...
Yeah, a lot of them are being born because I think that some of them are having some, resonance of not wanting to be born in this world. And the second part of it is that a lot of it is because of insufficient attention for the soul. Because, if we go back 50 years or even 100 years, there were grandparents and parents and the village and the community that was nurturing all the newborns and the souls and teaching them different skills and giving them love and affection. And now we have this nuclear family where the parents are very busy working. So this child is born, and then there's a nanny, and then there's another nanny, and then there's a nurse, and then there's a servant, and the parents are going out to work, and there is no support system of love and affection and nurturance and education. So then these children become, identified as slow learners or OCDs or ADHDs, attention deficit disorders and things. But it's basically that they haven't had the stimulus of knowledge from the parents that had to be transferred in the womb and in the few years of the child being, in the material universe and discovering and looking at things and asking questions. When there are questions, but there's nobody who's there physically present to give the answers. So I know a lot of parents who, even in this pandemic, who've had 1 and 2 year olds, have actually locked them in rooms even where they've sobbed and cried themselves to sleep because the parents are in the other rooms on their calls and work and things. And so these children are very isolated and very, in an alien world. They don't know where they are and whether they're really loved and whether they're cared for, and is somebody going to give them a bottle of milk, is going to give them food. It's only when they've finished work that they're giving attention to these souls. So sometimes we are doing a disservice.
So then that leads me to another question, Ma, just going with the flow of the thoughts and how the conversation and this, all that you are sharing with us, that is it then that as a society we are addicted to living in certain patterns and chasing a certain kind of progress and a certain kind of wealth that is then at the detriment of the self and the family and societal structures?
Yeah, and I've asked many of these couples whose children, I've seen them being inhuman too, that why did you have this child? And then they say it's all parental pressure and we just had to prove that we could have a child, but we really find that this child, there's too much responsibility and mom can't come because she's looking after dad, and my mother-in-law can't come because she's not feeling well and she has a pain in the knee, or some story that keeps them, or even the COVID has kept so many grandparents away from their grandchildren and giving the nurturance. So I think it's very, very difficult to be a responsible parent. And when you bring a soul into this world, you really need to nurture with love and affection and care and information and learning. And, I'm just reminded of this one lady who's addicted to actually education.
Okay.
So she's doing like 6-7 courses at a time. And I've known her for now 26 years, and she's always studying. She's doing this course and she's doing that course, and she's enrolling in Kurukshetra University for a PhD, and then she's doing an MA somewhere, and she's doing a 1-year course from, online with somebody, and then she's going for some classes on, teaching people how to sew and how to cut a pattern. Like she's constantly in the learning mode, and whatever she learns, she never uses to help or to share with others. She's so obsessed about just spending all the money that she has on just paying forward to learn this and learn that, and now I want to learn how to do cursive writing, now I want to do how,
So she's accumulating skill and knowledge and information, but she's not participating in sharing or creating something new. So,
and her family is quite frustrated because she takes all the family resources and just pays it forward for something that she wants to do. And she doesn't want to stay home, she doesn't want to cook, she wants somebody else to do all that. And she's just so busy studying. So that's also an addiction. So addictions can be a variety of addictions. It's not just specific to what we think that, anger is an addiction. Anger is not an addiction. It's a consequence of something that we've done.
And a response.
And a response of something that somebody else may be doing. And we are compulsively interacting with that energy, and we are showing a part of ourselves to the world that maybe even we don't know about ourselves.
And so to take this forward of when we look at our own lives, what are the steps that we can take to prioritize the good and let go of the addictive, destructive, detrimental behaviors as adults? Of course, yes, as adults, yeah.
Yeah, first we have to very intrinsically recognize that what we are doing is of see that it can be, there has to be, we have to be aware of what is the consequence. We have to be aware of what we are trying to control. We have to see that is it a chronic pattern that we are just repeating again and again with not getting the result that we desire or that should come from certain actions. And we should also see that what are the consequences on other people's lives that our behavior is causing. And we need to also see whether we are nurturing ourselves, we are nurturing the other, or we are nurturing the world that we are living in. And if none of those criteria are met, and it's only a self-obsessive behavior pattern, then we have to really look again. And I think that healing takes you to a very long adventure of how to discover yourself and how to weed out the anarthas or the negative qualities or the stumbling blocks of our life that, we need to move forward and make ourselves happy. And if we are happy, then we'll make the world around us happy. And if the world around us is happy, then we're going to be super happy in that interaction.
So I think connected to this, we have two questions,
Yes.
one by Mohit and the other by Binu, where they both say that they are both food obsessed and they are both addicted to food. So, ma'am,
I don't think that they're addicted to food.
No?
What makes them think that they're addicted to food? We all think about what, food gives us a lot of pleasure. And if we do spend a few moments every day thinking about what we should eat and what we should cook and what would be nice to eat, there's nothing wrong with it. I think there's too much of the... I feel that, people saying that don't eat this and now this is poison and that you have to be a vegan, you have to be a vegetarian, you have to... What are these other keto diet
any
and
sort of fat diet.
and macro diet and micro diets and I don't know.
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. All this is good for a while if you want to experiment, but we can't take it to extremes.
So how do we know that what is the point at which we're tipping over to an extreme? Like even Mohit asks, like with people working out and fitness.
Yeah, fitness. And the latest thing that I have found is about cosmetic surgery. That people want to cut and restructure their face, their lips, their eyelids, their jawline. They have to have this shape. They have to, get the fat off their hips. They have to have some breast implants, some hip implants. There's so many of them going under the knife and the needle just to look different and it becomes like a disorder. It becomes like an addiction where they are constantly obsessing about wanting to change something about themselves, which is like a very big addiction. So that addiction is also a part of our society today, where people are thinking that even the way they look has to be controlled in an environment. I think that it's all about controlling. It's about compulsive behavior, and it's without really looking at the consequences of what this behavior is going to do to you personally and what it's going to do to people around you. Because you're sending out a very strong message of disquiet inside your heart.
Yeah, I'm just absorbing that we're sending a message of disquiet in our heart.
And others also have to then
Resonate
live with
that.
disquiet. So we have to be very careful of what we are doing, how we are showing our behavior to others, how are we loving others, how are we, behaving on a day-to-day basis, and are we helping people? Are we structured in, going to work on time, coming back at time, going to bed, to sleep? Or are we just on the phone and just, I don't know what people do. They stay up nights and nights and nights. Then what is it? They're addicted to... what is it? Just
Gaming, apps,
and
I think
pornography.
anything. It could, I mean, people could be obsessed with watching like Mohit and Binu are saying that they're addicted to food, but maybe they just enjoy, like Ma, you're saying they enjoy good food. So that could turn into a compulsive behavior of watching videos of, whatever is it that they like to eat, or a food channel, or it could be a gossip site. I think everything is accessible 24/7 through the great internet. And I think that has led us to a space of never allowing our nervous system really to relax. And I think that is something that very much intrigues me. And maybe another time, another place, we can discuss that, Ma. But yes.
So food is coming up a lot, huh?
Food is coming up a lot, yes, Ma.
But hunger is the first instinct of a human being, so
we have to honor it.
We have to honor it. I have a gentleman who sees me once a month, and he went on a diet, and his nutritionist told him that he would fix all his diseases. He had, I think, thyroid, and he had diabetes, and he had asthma.
And high cholesterol.
And I think he was also a cancer survivor. And then the gentleman told him that he fixed everything. And he has to do OMAD, which is 1 meal a day.
Yes, Mom.
And he took him off so many foods, and he started giving him this 1 meal a day, and this man was starving the whole day, and then he was eating. And then he came to a point where his body was not able to digest what he was eating, and he was getting more and more sick. And then he had to go to rehab to learn how to eat again properly. And now he's been, I'm healing him, and he's doing so much better. He's eating 3 simple, proper meals a day. So he's doing so much better. So it could be a soul group that comes from, the nutritionist could have just been an enemy who was sent and who had a karmic destiny that they had to murder you. But he had to murder you slowly, not like pull the trigger. So he's put you on this one OMAD thing. So it'd be so fun how people think that this is not an addiction, but it can be.
It can become one.
Yeah.
So as we're going through, there's like a lot of things that are connecting for me at least. Yeah. And one of the things that is really coming up again and again with every anecdote you share with us and every answer that you give to these beautiful questions about addiction and our compulsive behaviors and how to find balance seems to be that every addict, and I would say that means every human is an addict to sort of constantly be like doing a factory reset.
And we are searching.
So of course, as healers, when we do our daily healing, whether it's our Reiki practice, or whether it's our KQ force, whether it's our My Golden Cloud that is under all these 3 modalities under your lineage, or others who follow their own spiritual practices and paths, that when we do a spiritual practice, that is doing a factory reset daily to the most optimal, divine, balanced life and action and vibration that we can have with the universe and the world in our lives. So for those of us who are listening in who may not be following or empowered in any spiritual practice, what prayer? So what does prayer look like in the modern world, especially for those who may be agnostic or atheistic? And of course, those of us who are joining in who are religious. So going back to the religious prayers is powerful. Yeah. And then for those who are agnostic or atheistic, what would be their reset?
Attitude of gratitude, just to be grateful for the air that they breathe, the sun that comes up, and the food that they have on the table. Whatever is their experience of life, to just be grateful. And interestingly enough, there are also good addictions, right?
Okay.
So the good addiction could be somebody could be addicted to exercise, and then they would be doing like lots of exercise the whole day, and then that can, also lead to some stress on your heart and your body, which could not be so comfortable. Then there are other people who are addicted to protein shakes and some muscle like building and the body, that could be also an addiction. Then prayer can also be an addiction. I had an aunt once who used to just get up in the morning and go and sit in the temple room, and then she would pray, and she had this, thing that everything should be clean and everything should be like full of prayer and the mantras, and she would go around chanting the whole house. And she just wouldn't stop praying till she fell asleep, so tired, sometimes in the temple room. So that can also be an addiction. And then there are some people who are also addicted to meditation. Some people are addicted to healing, overdoing the healing. Some people can be addicted to friendships, like I shared about my grandmother's codependency.
Yes.
On relationships, somebody could be addicted to love, that they fell in love with their neighbor or something, and the neighbor is not interested in them, but they're really addicted to that experience.
That fantasy or that addiction of...
And I have a lot of people coming to me who are addicted to pornography as well. So, and some people can be addicted to sleeping.
So are these good addictions? Because you started the conversation, but I feel that these are not good addictions. No. So
everything has to be in balance. We have to have a specific time to doing everything in our daily routine, and everything has to have a little bit, I think small bite-sized flavors of everything in life is a good start.
So that's the reset, is to sort of first check our greed, maybe?
Check our greed, check our ability to earn and how much we're going to spend. We can look out of the window and see the Ferraris and the Buicks and the Rolls Royces with other people in it and say that, oh, I want to go and buy one right now. But it's not necessary to buy everything you appreciate in the universe. It could be the same with clothes, it could be the same with food, it could be the same with your spectacles. I have a friend of mine who has I think 600 frames. And every
of sunglasses?
Sunglasses and spectacles.
Oh, wow.
And how much of her money she must have spent, and at one time she can only use one, right? She can't build up a few on her face. That would
be a different a new look.
New fashion.
Yeah, but from a usability, that's so true that from a usability perspective, we can only use one thing at a time.
Yeah, somebody has addiction to buying shoes, somebody could be bags, somebody could be spectacles, somebody could be dark glasses, watches.
Absolutely.
So
then I'll repeat, Ma, then what are the good addictions?
Good addiction is only to be addicted to being good.
Okay. And how would you define good?
That there is a time for everything. There's a time for music, there's a time for drinking water, there's a time for how much food you're going to consume in the day and how to balance it out in your 3 good meals in a day. And then how much time you're going to spend with other people, how much time you're going to spend with yourself, and maybe how much you're going to study, how much you're going to teach somebody else, how much you're going to water the plants, feed the birds. Make time for little things that will nurture you and help you to be a competent individual who's living in the world and doing things for others as well. Because we have this very deep instinct that we want to be needed, and we are looking for validation from our loved ones that they need us, but the reality is that the universe needs you all the time. So even when we are breathing, we are fulfilling the need of the plants who need the carbon dioxide. So even in that response, we are participating in sharing what we have and what we can transform, that we can take the oxygen and we can transform and give out the carbon dioxide for the welfare of the plants. So we are definitely moving through our life, doing things for others.
So then could I summarize accurately by stating that when we are resetting from our addictions, the first step is to live in an attitude of gratitude and to cultivate that gratefulness. The second is to ensure that we have a range of activities that we give time to and allow those activities in turn to nurture us. So whether it's spending time with loved ones, reading a book, going for a walk, exercising, eating food, studying, working, praying, healing. So there has to be a variety of things. So would you say at least 5 to 7 activities in a day?
Yeah.
That we, so it's not about being regimented. We can still be spontaneous and intuitive, but there should be, we'll know that if our basket of life has variety, then we are moving away from addictions.
Yeah.
And then the final third sort of step or the aspect of this reset would be to ensure that some of those activities, and ideally all those activities, are also part of an exchange of service to another.
Yeah, and the fourth one is that don't be a compulsive shopper and hoarder. So,
Let go of things. So let go of even conversations, sometimes relationships, blame, anger, hate,
inadequacies, insufficiencies,
doubt.
and definitely not keep buying and storing in the cupboard. To have a very fixed idea about how much you're going to accumulate and how much you're going to share forward. Because if you can share it forward, then that's a very succinctly important place to be, so that you can give forward and you can allow the energies of the river of your life force to flow. Because remember, stagnant water is always smelling. So you have to let that river flow and flow and flow and see what you can do and nurture. And if you do have extra money, you can always give it to charity. You don't have to spend it on yourself. And or maybe leave it to your family when you go. They'll inherit it and use it for some good in your world. Maybe you don't have that brilliant idea of what you want to share with other people. Because I think a lot of us, when I have my interaction with people, when I'm healing them, everybody is manipulating on how they should earn more money. And then sometimes I ask them that when you will make this money, what will you do with it? And then they tell me that we'll spend it. And I said, on what? So they said, we'll buy this, we'll buy that. So I said that, today you don't have those things. Is your life any less valuable or less, exuberant or happy? Then they say, no, we have everything. But they're still aspirational about something that they want. But remember that whenever you accumulate things, you are making some empty shells. You're giving away some of your goodness away to make place for that new thing to come. And that may not be the best or the most nurturing aspect of your personality, to accumulate material things. So you have to be very watchful of how your mind is thinking, what you're doing, why you're buying a specific thing, why you're not giving it forward if you're not using it. And it's important to reflect, to house clean, to go around and to see what all you've gathered and what is it doing on your shelf.
So to evaluate that on a
daily
basis is really essential to help us stay away from addiction.
And steer yourself to, why you're accumulating things. I know the internet, hoarding. Internet is very compulsive. You put on the TV, they are trying to sell you something. And it could be blankets, it could be steel utensils, it could be frames, glass frames. Everybody is trying to sell you something. So you have to be careful.
And so coming back to the reset question, Preeti Porwal asks that what about a pilgrimage? Does that also help to reset? Or even like I would add that even maybe going on a hike in Mother Nature is a pilgrimage for me. And I saw that Carla had joined in, and I know that Amina, Carla, and I do share that just going into nature is
very resetting the button of your heart. Evolution and of your heart, and to share with the universe. And it's not always about buying things and accumulating and putting and storing and saving. It's about giving forward.
And I think as a healer, what I've learned from you, Ma, or as a channel of the light, is to go into any space, even if it's a man-made space, it could be a skyscraper, it could be a mountain, and to participate with the presence of the universe and the light in that moment as your service and as your gratefulness. So is that a correct understanding?
Yeah, it's a correct understanding. And I'm just reminded of a very interesting story which takes me back 50 years about this aunt of mine who had 3 lovely children, and her husband was very well placed in a government organization. And they used to get a lot of Diwali gifts. So this Diwali, she had some relatives over. And lo and behold, from a very, very, very well-known 5-star hotel, this beautiful 3-kilo chocolate cake arrived.
Okay,
wishing
wow.
them a happy Diwali. So now she didn't want to share it with the relatives.
Oh.
So she took the cake quickly into her bedroom and she tucked it under her bed that she was going to feed it to her children after everyone was gone. And then there was celebration, and there were crackers, and there were candles, and diyas, and lights, and lots of good food and everything. And she said in her mind that I'm going to cut it tomorrow and we'll all have it, enjoy it. Though it was big enough for the whole family to have enjoyed, right?
And more. A 3-kilo cake is huge.
So she just, her heart was so... There's another story to it. So then this chocolate cake stayed under her bed, and then everybody was very tired and they went to bed. In the morning the relatives left and everybody said goodbye, and very nice and lovely Diwali and happy and everything. And then she pulled the cake out from under her bed to find that it was covered with red ants.
Oh.
The whole cake was a feast
For the
for
ants.
these lovely red ants, and her children and she were looking at this cake. And then
Amazing.
she was so devastated, and she was saying, oh my God, we can't even eat it because the ants had got deep and they had
Of
made
course,
these little
yes.
valleys and little tunnels into the cake and all. And then of course she went crying, and she went to the terrace and she left it for the birds. So the thing is that sometimes the gift may come for you, but it's actually that you have to give it forward. So can you imagine how many ants must have feasted on that cake?
Hundreds
and how
and
many
thousands.
birds would have pecked at that cake? So it was actually a feast, and she was the facilitator to give it forward. But it does show that sometimes you will do it out of not a great service instinct.
The universe will sometimes force you to be in service, I
Yeah.
think is the lesson
Yeah.
I'm taking from this story. That sometimes the
Yeah.
universe will just say that no, you have to forcibly participate. And
cut the cake right now and serve it. And she could have given it forward. I'm sure some other souls would have also partaken of it. But this is a real story that I encountered once many, many years ago.
that is really a wow story, in the sense that how your own greed will take you down a certain action, which then actually becomes a key to unlock a sharing or an inadvertent goodness. I'm sure that aunt didn't really intend to share
it with so many
many
souls.
souls, but that's how the universe
In
conspired.
that one chocolate cake, she had completed her debt with so many souls.
So was that some good karma or some, like, what activated it, if I may ask?
It activated a lot of good karma for her husband and for her children and everybody. But for her, it was like a tragedy. She repeated it so often that it was all the fault of the relatives, that, she couldn't share the chocolate cake with her children. And I remember my mom telling her many times that, why don't you just go and get one from, the hotel is just down the road and you can just get it from the pastry shop. And she would say, nay, but, that one was so like...
That one was tastier.
No, that I really wanted to eat that one.
Wow.
So it was really funny story, but it's real. That's how human beings respond to stimulus from the external universe. and how our heart and our mind conjecture and plan, and we have a plan, we put it into play, and then the universe responds and gives us consequences of different flavor. So maybe she also didn't quite understand that she had paid off so much of her karmic debt to so many souls, but that's how the divine willed it and planned it for her.
So actually there's a very interesting sharing that Ashish had shared earlier. He says, "Pranams at your lotus feet, Master," to you.
Thank you for the flowers.
And he asks or states, or I think it's his thinking which is resonating with this story, that are we constantly tampering with a self-image that itself is elusive and illusory?
Yeah, always illusory and elusive, because we are expecting a certain reward or consequence, but it's chaotic, out of control, and it's giving us consequences that we do not desire or didn't plan for it. That's what addictive behavior is also all about, that we have different layers of consciousness that we are activating at different levels of our chakras that are giving us new desires to want to control things. Basically, what is addiction? That we are trying to control or re-experience a particular experience that validates that we are in control. Basically, everything is about that we are in control, but the reality is that we are not in control.
And addiction is a pattern for all humans because we all want to be in control.
Yeah.
So that is why I think I said it spontaneously that all human beings are addicts, but I'm beginning to understand that statement a bit more deeper as we go through this session with you, Ma. Once again, so happy to have these Sunday collectives with you and with everyone who's listening in, and especially everyone's questions that truly resonate and take the healing and learning journey for me as well, and I'm sure for everyone gathered here.
Chocolate corridors.
The chocolate corridors. Cake. So what were the red ants like?
The red ants are when they bite you,
they're fire.
Really sting, and they're like fire.
Yes.
And they are very deep karmic instruments of punishment.
Is that all ants or
the red ones? Yeah. With the red head.
Yes.
And they're very, very toxic, very poisonous.
So when they came to take that cake was because like attracts like, that there was so much toxicity that she had put into that cake by not wanting to share it forward, that then Mother Nature sort of invited the red ants to arranged that why don't you come and partake of this feast.
And I'm sure the red ants were in her house because she was like a person who was resonating with anger all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So neither her husband nor her children could convince her that she could get the cake and they could have a great party.
Great feast and party, and maybe invite those relatives back again to share forward. Yeah. And so in that same sort of resonance of seeking corrective action or healed action, especially when we are in these addictive patterns, we have a question here that says, "Good evening, dearest ma'am to you." And the question is that what is a good way to motivate healing among skeptics who clearly need help, who know that addiction is not good for them, but they don't or can't seek active help, or they don't want to meditate, they don't want to participate in prayer or any of the resets that we discussed, and they're always complaining and not filled with gratitude.
Yeah, so the best thing is to do a lot of healing for them on their calves chakras, because all self-control comes from our calves, and a lot of healing on the navel, because it could be inherited tendencies that have come from a previous lifetime, or inherited consequential energies of what they see and hear and taste and smell and touch in their early formative years of when they were growing up. And, they could be healed. And healing is not because they have to ask for it. We can just spontaneously. Like right now, I'm sending healing to all the human souls on planet Earth that are in addictive patterns of life, and especially gambling and sex, pornography, and drugs, alcohol. So these are very, very severe, and of course, like I said, plastic surgery, because I see so many of them going down that road because they're just not satisfied with the way they look and the way they interact with the human race at large, that they're always feeling that they're not so well designed by the divine, that they have to interfere with that design.
So there's an insufficiency and they're trying to
fill
that insufficiency.
Yeah, some hole in the soul self where there's a gap. So they're putting in more and more and more, and it's just flowing away. And they're not really touching the truth that they're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's life is perfect because we have to experience something and we have to move forward. And when we generate that consciousness that we have sufficiency, then the sufficiency will manifest. And that's exactly what I said, I think, in yesterday's meditation for the solar eclipse, that, that the universe is a giant, giant facilitator of fortune for the human race. And it's our spontaneous, imagination and our desires that are a confluence of what we would like to achieve. And if we ask for a coin, we'll get a coin. And if we ask for a mountain of coins, we'll get the mountain of coins. So depending on how much abundance you want from the universe is always participating. So
That's
I think we are also,
good to know.
People are always addicted to negative vibrations. They catch the frequencies of others' negative thoughts very quickly. So does the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're generating negative, then the universe also has the ability to give you more negative. So you have to be really careful. That's why healing is so important. So the person who asked the question, I don't know who it was, about how to heal the addictive
the Skeptics,
people.
Yes. It's
So
an account called Young Adults _Parents.
Yeah, so you should really stop this generation of this thought that people are not open to receiving, and convert it into thinking that everyone's open to receiving, and then send out your prayer, your mantra, or whatever good thought, and know that people are receiving it. Like, really know it in your heart, and they will receive it. And then, of course, healing is the greatest instrument to bring solace to the troubled souls. Because remember that all the people who are addicted are not really doing it out of free will, that there's a compulsive aspect of punishment that they are perpetuating against themselves, that is giving them a lot of pain and anguish and hurt and lack of love. So you have to actually hug them and tell them it's okay. It's okay to be an addict. And let's see where we can go from here. Then they'll hold your hand and they'll walk away from the pain and the anguish and the hurt, and bathe in the river of good fortune and love and affection and confidence and self-esteem. And then it'll be magic.
It is always magic with the healing in Yuma, and that's what Ashish is also resonating with. He says that all the abundance stems from your holy lotus feet.
Sweet. Love you.
And we have Rajni auntie, who says that she's looking forward to hug you. When will that be possible?
Next month, next year.
Next year. And then we have Binu Lad, who said that, Ma, as per your guidance, the time after November 25th has been amazing for me. Gratitude to you, immense gratitude. And then we have Jayati, who says, Ma'am, ever grateful for your guidance that makes life and living beautiful in every way.
I love you all out there.
And then we have Ashwini Bhaiya, who says, love you, Mom, bowing at your lotus feet.
You. I'm waiting for the message from son to mother.
Okay, done. And so and of course there is Mamta Goyal, who says, what a different perception and perspective to see things. Thank you. And then we have Simran. Hi Simran Sani, who's asking that, Ma, are toxic relationships also addictive?
Yes, just like I was explaining about my aunt who was like codependent on this co-sister of hers.
Sister-in-law, yes.
Yeah, sister-in-law. And so, yes, of course. You're
like a Jethani and a Devrani.
And Devrani.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you can be codependent on a lover, husband, son, daughter, a friend. And the friend could be living her life and all and making you do thak baithak, sit, stand, do this, turn right, do this, do that. And you could be doing all the dance of wanting something from that soul, but that soul isn't giving it to you. You're just
it's an illusion.
It's an illusion. When you train a monkey or a bear or even a dog, your dog, that you give them tasty bites after they've done a certain repetitive behavior. But in humans, we don't give that tasty treat. We just whip a little more and then the soul starts doing it better and better and faster and quicker. And that's how it becomes an addictive behavior. I had a cousin once whose parents were, I'm saying once because she's not in this universe anymore, but her parents used to leave her with the maid, and the chef was the maid's husband. And my aunt and uncle were in the army, so they used to get a lot of alcohol in the house. So whenever this parents used to go out, the cook and the maid used to take out a bottle and treat themselves to whatever they could lay their hands on. And because my cousin was also running around and all, so they used to also give her a small glass of that alcohol. So she became alcoholic at the age of 12 and lived quite a miserable life. So now if you look at it, that were the chef and the maid responsible for her addiction, or was it the consequence of her parents' behavior? And then of course for many years the parents took her to rehab and they took her to all kinds of psychologists and psychiatrists, and they did a lot to try and heal her. And interestingly enough, when she passed away, she had 2 children, and now both the children are addicts. So, is it that they had an inherited tendency of a soul group that they got attracted to her and they came? Or is it that after they were born, they saw the behavior and they're just repeating that behavior that they learned? So it could be learned behavior as well. So people will do repetitive behavior patterns, and that's why it's very important to look at how you're behaving in your environment. I also have lots of people who are very addicted to violence. So they could be initiating this violence on people who are working for them, or even their spouse or their children. And the violence just continues. And how did they learn it? That they saw maybe their father beating their mother. So, domestic violence. And then they're doing, all their life, they said, oh my God, our father's so bad and we are not going to, tolerate this. And they used to always support their mother. But when they got married, they're doing exactly the same thing to their wives or to their husbands. So I'm not saying that it's only the men who beat up their wives. I know lots of wives who beat up their husbands and children, and so the violence continues. So you have to be very careful with how you're behaving.
Spaces and choices that we make.
So it's a very, we've come to the confluence of of the nectar that flows from the crown chakra and how it can get corrupted and chaotic and controlling and consequential and then complete loss of control. So we have to be very careful of what we are harboring in our daily lives, how we are thinking, how we are conjecturing, how we are wanting to control others. I think that if we can just pay attention to what we are doing and why we are doing something, it would give us a great
insight
to our own self.
And so in that same line of thinking, we have Anita, who asks that, good evening, Ma.
Hello.
So if we are aware of our good and negative patterns and addictions, gratitude and healing will give balance in our basket of life.
Yes, and through that gratitude, we will be able to churn out the real authentic self from within, and that authentic self will flower out from our navel center, because everything is about the umbilical connection to the divine, and from the umbilical connection to the divine, we take birth in our mother's womb and we get an umbilical connection with her body through the placenta, and then we imbibe all the 5 nutritive energies of air, water, fire, earth and sun, and in the form of breath and food, and we build our body of the 5 elements, and then we take birth and we take the breath, and then we are independent. Or so we think.
Yes.
Then we continue our journey. So yes, there's this beautiful, when we have gratitude and we authenticate our real self and we try to bring and nurture that authentic self out, then we are really looking in the mirror and we are seeing who we really are, and we can change the things we don't like about ourselves. And with healing, it can be in an instant. Or you can seek healing and then you become the new you, and this new you falls in love with life, with the world, with the divine, with the healing, and is on a mission to heal everyone in the path. So it doesn't matter if the other people are ready to receive or not, you are ready to give. And whoever is a worthy recipient will receive. Was that a question? Or?
Yes, I think that answers it perfectly, Ma.
Okay.
And just 2 messages of love I'll share before I take one more question.
Yes.
So there's Sarita Auntie, Sarita Puri, who says
Hello. I love you.
She says that she would love to meet you physically, just waiting for that time. So yes, in the new year, Sarita Auntie, definitely. And then we have Raminder from London, who says, love you, ma'am. We are a little bit more stable. Thank you so much for all the healing, with hugs.
Yes, I'm sending. The healing continues and things are so much better. After yesterday's eclipse, things will pan out in a confluence of goodness, happiness,
awesome.
Joy.
And then we have Bhavna Baveja, who asks that, ma'am, how do we help those people in our families who just have an agenda to put us down or give negativeness?
See, first of all, you have to really look at yourself, that why are you being a pathologist? Why are you always looking at how they're behaving negatively? And I always translate it into 2 layers of consciousness, that are you a fly or are you a bee? So the bee sits on the flowers and pulls the nectar, and the fly sits on the garbage and just carries the negative
garbage.
And eats the garbage and carries the negative disease and puts it down. So first of all, I would say transform yourself. And if you are not comfortable with the people that you live with or the people that you associate with, and if you can change them, then start changing them. And if they are family, then start to concentrate purposefully on the things that they're doing good for you. So if you can find that goodness in them and, nurture yourself and be the bee, then you're going to be happy. Then you're going to get the honey. Then you're going to be able to spread that honey-like, golden substance of light from your crown chakra, bring it down, and then you don't need the validation from them. And they'll not be able to infect you. They'll not be able to be the bees, the flies that come and sit on you. Because you're actually, when you're thinking of all the negative qualities, you're actually giving them an invitation to come and corrupt your space of wellness and goodness. So you have to be very careful in what you're inviting into your life. And the other part of it is that as a healer, you know that you can protect yourself with the second symbol of Reiki, or the KQ force, or the golden cloud. You can cleanse and purify. You can send out healing and love. And most importantly, you can seek forgiveness from anything that you may have done to them in a past life. And you give them forgiveness for having brought this energy into your life, or you have invited it into your life. So giving forgiveness and seeking forgiveness is very important.
So I think there's a beautiful question that Reza is asking. She's saying that how do we be a less self-centered person, and how do we become more caring, like in the relation to exactly what you just said, Ma, that to give forward. So she's saying, how do we become less self-centered?
Yeah, I think the biggest instrument is to take some bird feed and put it out for the birds, and they will carry the goodness into your life very, very quickly. Water the plants, and because sometimes human beings don't really accept graciously all the goodness that you do for them, and then it may hurt you a little more that you're doing so many just generous acts of kindness and they're not reciprocating. So I always tell people that keep your environment safe and clean, feed the birds, leave some water for them to drink, water the plants, and very soon you will see a big change in your life. And of course, get connected to healing and heal all, and pray for the welfare of others.
So even just starting in your own environment, to clean your own environment and participate in the household that you are living in is a great step towards moving away from the self-obsession to a more balanced, caring, outward human.
Yeah, because I know in Reza's house, they have white and turquoise blue dining table chairs and all. So that's like the kidney chakras. Mm-hmm. So if she really wants to grow and to get more, infringement of positivity into their life, then maybe they can add some purple to it, So the kidney chakra, paint it on the chairs. So where they're sitting and eating and interacting and working, maybe they're using those chairs and tables for their work.
Or maybe putting a purple cushion
or tapestry, or just
like an eggplant purple.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Violet.
Beautiful.
Or just even a bowl of a glass bowl purple. Just put water in it and keep it in the center of the table. Maybe a purple candle or something. So if they add that, then it'll become very heightened, pleasurable and comforting in their relationship with the environment, with the people, that there's a lot of respect and nurturance. And that's a quick fix. That whatever colors you're living with, add some purple. And this is also the other thing, that what are the colors for 2022?
Yes.
It's silver and purple.
Oh wow.
Silver is the energy coming out from your hands and feet, so people are going to walk to new destinations, do things differently. And purple is the energy of the third eye, and it resonates at all your chakras. So it gives you heightened intelligence and knowledge and wisdom to do the right thing in the right place. And yes, 2022 is going to be a great year of change and betterment for everyone.
Fabulous. Thank you for sharing that extra little nugget of information.
Yes, that's not addictive.
That's not addictive.
Now don't get addicted to just painting everything silver and purple.
Silver and purple, yeah. That also we must be in balance.
Yeah, silver candle, purple candle.
Beautiful.
Twin lights.
Yes. So we have 2 healing requests. We have Gunjan Gupta, who's asking for her daughter Nitya
Yeah, and
who
that she
is
goes to the right
disappointed.
college.
And so, yes, healing for her to
Yes,
go to the
yes.
right, most appropriate institution and educational college, university. And then we have Shwetishi, who greets you, Ma, saying,
Hello.
respected ma'am, pranam. Our fellow healer, Shraddha's father, has been diagnosed with cancer. The main location is yet unknown, but spots have been found in his lung and neck. So requesting healing, please.
Yes, beta, lots of it. Father's name, if you can just send, then we will definitely be more precise in the healing.
In the healing. And Suma, do we have time for the stories that you were telling me?
Yeah,
Throughout the week?
next week we can take it up from here and
Okay.
move forward.
Absolutely. We have Kunal who's joining in from London who says, good evening, Nani. Love you so,
love
so
you,
much.
Beta. Love you too. Be happy.
Come
Stay
home,
well,
Kunal.
Come home. 16th he's coming.
Okay, lovely. And then we have Winnie Serene who says, hugs, love you.
I'm sending you big hugs.
Hug. We all received that hug. Thank
Yes.
you. And then we have Mamta Dhanishi who says, dearest Ma, so grateful to see you on Sunday Collective. We love you and grateful for all the healing and love.
I love you more and more and more.
So yeah, I think that we should save the stories for
Yeah, because we don't want to rush
through them. So yes, so do join us next Sunday on the 12th of December at 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. to listen to the stories of the chakras.
The chakras and how people behave with their addictive behaviors and how to heal them.
Yes.
And if you miss it, then you can catch it on YouTube, right, Divya?
Yes, we are following a sort of delayed pattern, so maybe it'll be weeks before they'll be able to see it on YouTube. So better to be here live, guys.
No, but what if they can't be live?
Then they'll see it on YouTube eventually.
Okay.
Because we're sort of doing an archival
thing.
process,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
So
Yeah.
it'll be up there.
Up there.
For sure.
Soon, very soon.
Yes.
How sweet.
And we have Mona Bhatia, Dr. Mona, saying that love you so much, Renooji.
Love you more.
And then we have Shwetishi, who gives the name of the gentleman in question, Raj Vasan.
Okay.
Or Vasan, Raj Vasan. Vasan, Raj
Vasan.
Vasan. Yes, ma. And then we have a question from, again, young adults _ parents, who asks, ma'am, how do we give healing to the calves and knees? Through any of the healing modalities
If
that
you're
you're
connected
empowered
to
in?
healing, otherwise you hold the calves and shins of the person by placing both your hands on the legs and just pretend that you're pressing them, and you just say that take the person's name is free of addictions or free of trauma or free of negative energy, and repeat it 108 times just by gently pressing, and the transformation will happen.
That's beautiful.
And if you can't
Can we do
get
it for
to
ourselves?
Yes, of course.
I love this.
You're not addicted, Divya.
No, I'm just saying, I am the voice of the collective, Ma.
Okay, lovely.
I'm the voice of the collective. I'm addicted to healing, I'm addicted to you, and I'm addicted to the collective.
Yes, we are all very sublimely connected to the divine and to the healing worlds and to all of you, and we love you, and we are going to send out healing to all of you who are listening, that very soon you will be enjoying your life free of all addictions.
That's wonderful and such a celebration. And we have Parveen. Hi, Parveen. She
hello.
says that you are our lovely Santa, ma'am. You look beautiful in
God,
this
in the
red.
Okay, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes.
So sweet.
And then we have a few more healing requests. We have, of course, we have Chandani Singh and Kavita Mitta and Mamta Goyal, all saying
love
very much love towards you and towards the collective. And then we have Ritu Agarwal, who says, love you, ma'am.
Oh, love you, Beta.
please send healing for Arushi CA Inter exams.
Okay, wonderful. I will.
And Mayuri, who's joining in from Bombay, says, Sunday is so beautiful today. Addicted to your discourses, Ma.
Yes. I wonder what everyone's going to do on a Sunday morning
They'll
when
be
their
in the
family's
Rajai.
screaming for
Breakfast.
and they're saying Sunday Collective. Okay, we'll try it out.
Yeah,
But 8:30 it is.
8:30 it is, and whoever is joining is
Perfect.
perfect. And like Ma said, that I'll make a very concentrated, committed, reliable, consistent, co-joined, healed mission to have these up on YouTube, so you all can very quickly. Yes. And we have Binu Lad, who's asking, Ma, please send healing to move further up in my professional life. Love you a lot. Gratitude to you. Thank you for the collective today.
Much better.
And then
times for everyone. Jupiter's changed and we are heading into a much better time.
And then we have Preeti, who asks healing request for her mom, who's visiting her, I believe. Yes. And then we have Shubhrata, who's also joining in, I'm sure, with Akshay, who say, love you, ma'am. Very, very grateful for this beautiful discourse.
Enjoy.
And Binu Auntie, belated happy birthday to you. To Binu Auntie.
Yes.
Binu Nair, she's asking, Namaste, ma'am, requesting healing for Tejaswini. Grateful.
Okay, yes. Big hugs to both of you. And of course to Dr. Sam.
Yes.
Love you.
And then we have Sonali Didi, who's saying, hello, Ma and Divya. How are you both? Love you both. We love you too.
Love you, love you, love you.
Love to everyone.
Bye-bye.
And so just before we say bye, Ma, is there something that we can...
We can do the Gayatri Mantra.
We can do the Gayatri Mantra. Okay, wonderful. Okay, everyone. So let's, before we say goodbye for today, until we meet again very soon at 8:30 a.m. on the 12th of December, right here on Instagram Live. So get comfortable. For those of you who are seated or walking or lying down, wherever you are, just be more comfortable. And let us take a deep inhalation and exhale through our nostrils, preparing ourselves to connect to this beautiful, glorious sound of creation, of the Gayatri Mantra, of the Gayatri herself, embodied in the sound form. And let's try and go beyond the sound. So for those of you who know the chant, please join Ma and me. And for those who may not be familiar with it, just listen and meditate and enjoy the vibrations. Love you all. Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodhayatum. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodhayatum. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodhayatum. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodhayatum. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्. Know that all the addictions can also be healed with this mantra. Love you all. Stay well. God bless.